That's fine with me.
Okay.
Shall we get started?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Calling the meeting to order. And are there any announcements to share?
I don't have any.
And were there any public comments?
No.
Okay.
All right. So Eddie is actually downstairs. I'm going to run down there and get him. So you want to put a
Sure.
timeout really quick? Okay.
Way to go, Nancy. Great job.
No, yay.
I have to run at 4:30 for a prior commitment, or else I would have provided you a little support there. Kind of hung you out to dry.
That's okay. No problem. I've been doing meetings all day today. One of those days.
What course you got behind you there?
I have no idea.
Pick the good one.
Got a little mountain behind me, so I don't know where that might be. Maybe Colorado or probably California.
Yeah.
If anybody recognizes it, let me know.
I'm not that good, so that'd be pretty impressive if somebody
That
did.
would be. I don't know. I thought maybe Ben or Chris might.
Nancy, I don't know, but I've seen it before. I have seen, other than yourself, use that backdrop.
You've never seen anybody else use that one?
No, I have.
Oh, yeah.
I'm looking at Collins as well.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Colin looks like he's in Hawaii.
No, I think Colin's in South Dakota.
Yeah, that new
It
ocean.
looks windy. It does look
No,
windy
South
there.
Dakota had an ocean. I'm heading to South Dakota if he's in South Dakota.
Oh, my.
That's nice.
Yeah. He must have been trying to bring in contraband or something. They wouldn't let him in.
Okay, now I just heard you then. There you are. I think the video.
Hi, guys.
Yeah.
Sorry I'm late, everybody. Where we at?
Oh, Nancy called the meeting to order and we talked about no announcements and no public comments.
Cool. What's next?
There's no minutes either.
No minutes. Let's just jump right into it. New items, 2A, member non-attendance recommendations to the park board.
That is, yep. That was the last time he attended
Last year.
of last year, January 21st. Or January 21.
Troy, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. So we've had one of the members of the Golf Advisory Committee meeting has been present for quite a long time. And I don't think has really been very responsive to our emails or, obviously when we set up these meetings, we send them out to everybody's email and we never hear anything back at either. So it would be my suggestion that maybe it's time to find a replacement.
I made it sound pretty fluffy. Although once I got to doing it, it's all accurate.
Who appointed him?
Whose appointee is?
He's District 1, he's Alejo's appointee.
Okay, well, I would make a motion to take staff recommended action, move this to the park board, see if we can find a more responsive committee member.
Who was it? I didn't hear.
His name is Kyle Ellison, and by our records, he has not been to a meeting since the 21st of January of 21.
That's been a while.
Yep. So what we'll do is at the next park board meeting, I'll bring this up and ask if Alejo can find a replacement.
Very
Also,
good for that.
also we're expecting hopefully an appointment for Maggie Ballard as well as the new council member, which I think there's a vacancy from that particular park board member as well. So I think, yeah.
Yeah.
You know the what right here.
I don't, if you just use the see Wichita guest, it should just let you in. It's good for like 4 hours.
What's next time?
No, sorry.
Finance report.
So I don't have anything updated through January. I do know that just trying to finish out the fiscal year. But there was really no major changes in regards to what I was expecting from what we reported at the end of January, or actually into December into January. But I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of changes in regards to what we expected from last fiscal year. They always take an extra 4 weeks to 6 weeks to make sure all the books are final. And so once I get the final count on 2021, I'll make sure you guys know about it. That's really important for me as well, because a lot of that funding went way beyond what we were expecting, and I want to put that money back into the courses. So I've already asked some of the staff members to start giving me their list of equipment so we can start working on that. And we're still waiting for equipment that we purchased last year because of the supply chain issues. So the sooner I can get that going, I can take that to council and have council approve our purchases. So that's one of the big steps we want to do this spring. In regards to January numbers, we just finished January, so we haven't been able to get the financial numbers in January, but I do think we have Round's report, which will give us a really good insight of what happened.
Any question on the finance report before we move to the rounds report? You done? Shannon, take it away.
Okay, thanks, Eddie. Penny, do you want to share your screen or you want me to?
I can, I've got it up here. Hang on just a second. Let me get back
Okay.
to the thing.
Okay. So the month of January looked great compared to 2021. We saw a 27% increase across the division. Leading the way was MAC with a 31% increase, followed right behind SIM and then Auburn Hills. It's great when we see McDonald and Auburn Hills really make those jumps, because typically Tex Consolver leads the way in rounds and revenue, followed by SIM and then Auburn and MAC. So seeing that big growth there is very optimistic for the remainder of the year. We saw a huge increase in food and beverage and cart rental compared to the previous year. Auburn Hills specifically showed 65% growth in F&B operation, and I mean the whole group just followed that pattern. And what's really exciting about that is it just shows that the membership subscription model is doing what we wanted it to do, helping to generate new revenue with carts and F&B, because those members aren't having to pay that daily green fee anymore, so they're spending their money in these other areas. When we're looking at F&B specifically, the first thing off my mind is with the 65% increase at Auburn Hills, we saw more days in January that were playable in this year compared to last year. So there was probably more inventory on hand for resale. But 59% growth across the division, I mean, over $10,000 in sales, that's phenomenal in January. It's really exciting to see. And same thing with carts. I mean, jumping from a little under 24,000 to over 37,000, that's fantastic. So kudos to all 4 courses. When we go down and look at memberships, it does show a decline, but like I mentioned in the email that I sent out to everybody, we actually saw 13 new members enrolled in January. I believe we had, gosh, I'm trying to think of the numbers off the top of my head, between 7 and 10 that were sent to legal for collections. We had just about as many that canceled their membership. And we even had a few medical freezes because of health conditions, surgeries, things like that. So even though that number shows a slight decline, we're still doing great with new memberships that are coming in. We're really staying in that sweet spot for us with members, which seems to be about 1420 to 1470. So in there it is about where we've averaged out since last August. I don't have any concerns about memberships. I know the T-sheets are remaining full, and our staff is doing a great job managing the T-sheets, working in singles and making sure they're maximizing the spots that are available. So putting golfers together, threesomes, twosomes, sending them out at the same time. They're doing a great job. Driving range. This is only the second year that MAC has been open in January, so they had a nice little bump, but Auburn Hills again saw the most growth. We're almost at $6,000 in revenue in January, so again, I mean, everything's looking positive. I did want to touch on the memberships real quick, and we really haven't talked about this a lot, but the membership program, like I mentioned, it's doing exactly what we wanted it to do. It's bringing in consistent rounds, and we're seeing that new growth in other areas. But one of the issues that we deal with behind the scenes that people don't really know much about is delinquent members. So those that either close their bank account and they don't update their information with us, or they just refuse to pay. We have to spend a lot of time on the back end in communications with the golfers, trying to understand the situation, but then sending them to legal, updating their account, then legal has to send them notifications. So right now we have over 20, I believe it's 22 golfers that had applied for memberships that have now gone to collections and are unable to play at any of our courses until those balances are collected. So just something to touch on so everybody gets the whole picture of how the membership subscription works. There's good and bad.
I wanted to add on to that in regards to what Shanna is talking about. And, you know, it's great when everything works well and the concepts are always proven, and this is a proven concept that it works. But there's always that situation of somebody who doesn't pay, and always that situation and of some other circumstances that might occur. So maybe you change your bank account, or maybe you move from the west side to the east side of town, and your financials changed a little bit. So if you're not keeping that information current with us, then we have non-sufficient funds and a bounce back on an account. It takes a lot of staff time, a lot of effort to track that down, and then to actually collect on some of the stuff is really kind of difficult as well. And we've had situations where we had golfers acknowledge this and they worked with us to make a correction. But we also had the really difficult situation where golfers close their account and because they know that there's going to be a withdrawal, and then we're out there scrambling trying to track down that money. In the meantime, they're still continuing to golf, and they go to different places. They share one story at one golf course, and we might not have all the information out to all the golf courses yet, or we might miss something, and they continue to play golf. And so it's always one of those situations where it's really difficult when one bad apple kind of really ruins it for a lot of other folks. And it really takes a lot of effort and time for us to track that down and make that correction. And then a lot of nasty phone calls and difficult calls to tell them, hey, you really need to pay. It's your obligation to pay. And we always take the high side. We always work with them, especially if there's a medical situation, maybe that there's a financial difficulty. When you get your finances straightened out, come back and we'll see what we can do. But we've also put situations where it's happened more than once, and we've had several folks give us new accounts and other kind of financial information, and it happens again. We put them on a situation where we don't want to have them on a pass system anymore, and they have to come in and pay the daily fee. And it just becomes a really difficult situation. Not that we can't handle it and not that we're not taking care of it. I just wanted you guys to be aware that this does happen and it does take a lot of effort and energy on a lot of different levels to make it work correctly. So very few times it happens, but when it does, it just really kind of creates a difficult situation for everybody.
And I also wanted to let everybody know that, we've had these memberships now, this model in place for over 2 years, and we've been learning along the way, and we have done everything possible to put all of the information out on our website that golfers need for just about any scenario with a membership, whether it be applying, canceling for a new one, updating their bank account information, switching to a different membership type. I mean, we have all of that information on golfwichita.com/membership. And it still sometimes surprises me how many people say, well, I didn't know where to go, or I didn't know what to do. And everything's in the same spot from where they apply to the next step. Niall, did you have a question?
Yeah, I did. When you say you're gonna, you turn these over for collection, do you actually seek judgment, or do you sign these out to a collection agency, or what specifically? How do you go about trying to enforce that obligation?
We send it over to the legal department here with the city. And then Eric Houghton is the city attorney that then reaches out to the golfer by, it's not electronic mail. What's the word I'm thinking of? Certified mail. Thank you. To notify them of the situation. And then I would say 20% of the ones that he reaches out to, he gets back in contact with. Like they jump on it quickly. But most of the time, we do not hear back from them, and we're just sitting on their balance.
So you're not assigning these out or seeking a judgment for enforcement?
No, we're not sending them to a third party.
Okay. And the reason for that is what?
I do believe a big reason why is because it probably costs us more to go get it collected than the money that's owed to us.
They usually get on. I've had about 20 years experience of collecting debts, so I know that a third party collection is almost always on a contingency basis, where if you assign say $300 and they collect it, they keep 100 and you get 200 with no cost to you for the assignment. So it seems like it would be a way to at least get these out of somebody's drawer. And if there's some residuals, there's some collections that are made are better than none, better than just being discarded or forgotten about.
Hey, Richard, the meeting, just so you guys know,
Richard Shogar's trying to get in when you guys have a chance.
Richard, did you have a question?
Yes, well, a couple. Number one, yeah, I was waiting to be let in to the meeting for about 20 minutes. And I was sending everybody emails, so you can disregard those. Somebody actually has to let you in. But be that as it may, on this issue, for what we have, because I'm assuming that a lot of them are senior members, and so the total membership for a year is only going to be about $600, and so I don't think you're going to find very many people that will pick that up because it is very cost ineffective to try to collect that from the legal end of it. And I think if we're only having that few out of 1,400, our stick is that you don't play golf and you will never be allowed to play golf. I'm assuming that we have the ability to keep them from playing, just even walking on and paying a day fee. Doesn't their name come up on our system as being ineligible to play?
Yeah, so we have it set up that a pop-up appears if any one of these people that owe us money comes into the golf course. We don't allow them to play until the full balance is collected. And once we do collect the balance, then their membership is null and void at that point, and they have to pay resident fees moving forward because they violated the terms of the agreement. There are scenarios, though, where a pop-up note gets dismissed too quickly and somebody makes it on the course paying a daily fee, or staff gets a sob story from them and, oh, I talked to so-and-so downtown and I'm working with them. And, they're in a position where they don't want to argue with the customer and they want to have great customer service. So, they collect the payment and let them go. So, there's tons of different scenarios, but our policy is they cannot play until we collect that full balance.
Right. And as a practical matter, with the number of people that we have as members, it's probably the best use of our money and time to just, until it becomes more of a problem, is just use the methods that we have and don't spend a whole lot of staff time chasing, spending $2 chasing 50 cents.
Anything else on the rounds report, guys?
One thing, I was pulling information. I was hoping to get it to everybody, but I think that 2021 will show that in public golf, the downturn has already started, and in some areas it's pronounced, the COVID downturn. And I think our numbers show that with our membership system, we're the exception, the glaring exception, as a matter of fact, because we're still growing and we're still having rounds and we're still making money. And I was privy to some information that that indicated that that at least it's been said that from someone up in Newton that if the contract goes through, that that there would be changes as to the weekends, as far as the member benefits to be able to play using the benefits on our contract that I guess is coming up. Are we going to be able to discuss that today, or do we have any guarantees that they're buying into the membership system as it is now, and not looking for substantial changes?
So that's the next topic that we're going to be talking about in
Okay.
regards to continuation of prior business. But if we're done with the rounds report, I could give an update in regards to our negotiations.
That's great.
Anybody else?
Yeah,
on-
I think I covered everything.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, we can jump right into the management service update.
So in regards to negotiations with Kemper, and we have a couple members from Kemper on the call, and Ben and Chris, if you guys would like to help me out with this or add anything else. But as of right now, we have continued on negotiating. We've offered and countered offered several times back and forth. Most of it is language. I think the basic concept and foundation of what we're looking for is been pretty much agreed on. And one of the things that was really kind of important was to address Richard's comment, was that the pass system was going to stay in place. So we have shared that several times on the question and answer that I've done on the Facebook Live. I've shared that at least 3 times. I think I've shared that on this meeting a couple times as well. So we know that that's going to happen. But we do know that there's going to have to be some changes in the future with the pass system as far as the costs and some of the other adjustments as well. But they have given us their word that the first year that they want to use the pass system, and we're going to keep the prices the way they are right now. I do believe that is correct. If Chris or Ben, if you wanted to comment on that.
Yeah, sure. This has been, I'd say we're on the 1 yard line. It seems like the lawyers, argue about shall or will or can, but I think as Troy says, all the business points are probably agreed to. Look, we don't create policy. That's still 100%, up to the council, up to the park board. In terms of pricing, in terms of the membership, in terms of fivesomes, all those things that are currently in place, we're being hired to both operate on a daily business and make recommendations, but ultimately we don't decide any of those things. Those things would still come to this committee, and then it would go to the park board and then the council, depending on how it's been done in the past. So the contract reflects that we're really there to manage and to make recommendations, but we don't create policy, and we don't have any authority to create policy.
Ben, I really appreciate you adding that. That's something that I was going to jump into, but you beat me to it. But yeah, one of the things that's really important is as we go forward with this, there will be a continuous evaluation of the finances and the operations, and are we meeting our overhead? Are we being able to put reinvestments back into the golf course with recommendations from Kemper as to is there capital projects that we need to tackle, and all that is comes from the revenues from the golf fund. So when we make changes, those changes to the prices, we got to take that to council, and council is going to want to hear from the park board, and the park board is going to want to hear from the golf advisory committee, or whatever form that we have in regards to the engagement with the golfers going through Kemper. So those are all the things that we're putting into the contract, and those are all the expectations that we have.
Yeah, I think the other thing, Dad, one of the many things we bring to the table is we have courses all over the country. We see trends, this discussion about post-COVID, if there's such a thing as post-COVID, but about sort of where's the golf business going, what's happening on a trend basis, et cetera. That's also the kind of thing that we'll bring to the table and bring to the committee to give you, a perspective of where things are going. We actually haven't seen a downturn, which is encouraging. But, we've had a record year this year again, and as has Wichita. But it's really, I think, going to give everyone an opportunity to have more information and to ask more questions and just to have additional information to make decisions.
There was one other thing I wanted to update in regards to the negotiations, but Richard, you have your hand up again, so I thought it might be relevant to what we're talking about right now. So maybe if you want to share your question.
Sorry, that was up before. I didn't get it down. Sorry.
Oh, no problem. No big deal. So through emails and through some of the communications we've had with Ben, one of the things that we wanted to talk about is going back to a meeting that we had with the park board last month. And Mr. Ferris, who was on the selection committee, was very adamant in regards to how do we handle the F&B management and whether we would get 10% of that if Kemper managed it, or is there some other type of arrangement that could be done? So talk to the city manager and kind of coming up with some of the different ideas. We're going to present two different options in regards to the F&B, and we're going to share that with the park board, and so that we can kind of weigh out the pros and cons of each one of those type of scenarios and what would work best for our situation. So I think Ben is very supportive of making sure that we are successful, and I think both of these options will be interesting. We haven't finalized what those options are going to be exactly yet, but that's one of the things I wanted you guys to be aware of, so you're not surprised when we take this to the park board.
Yeah, I mean, the comment I can make is that from our standpoint, we'll do either way. You know, we have municipal clients that don't want to be in the food and beverage business, and we're the concessionaire, and obviously clients that do. So either way works for us, and it's really up to the park board, I guess, to decide which way they want to go. So either works for us.
Do we know when those options will be finalized? I would like the park board to lay eyes on that before the meeting Monday.
So you're talking about a week from Monday, which
yeah, sorry.
Yeah, just wanted to make sure everybody was on the same timeline. As Ben mentioned, we're on the 1 yard line, and there's just a few little details that we need to take care of. So as soon as our attorneys feel comfortable with everything, I'm going to be sending that out to you guys, and hopefully that's next week by Monday or Tuesday, so that you guys have at least 3 or 4 days to look at it, or over the weekend to make sure you look at it. So that's almost there.
Thank you.
Troy, are you saying that the park board will get that before that meeting, or will the GAC get to see?
When I would say both will be able to, yes. Well,
Yes.
I'll send it to both.
Because he's on both, so that's why I was wondering if.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to make sure you guys see everything as well, and you guys will get the contract as a draft, and if there's anything in there that is just really of huge concern, we can bring that topic to the park board meeting, or even prior if you have some questions about something in particular. I think last time we worked on this, Niall called me and with some questions, and we kind of worked through some of it, but I think we're a lot more clear now than we were 6 weeks ago. Niall, you got a question?
Yeah, is this I don't know if this is the appropriate time for it or not, but Bob Layton sent out an email back, I think around mid-January, discussing some of the items in the negotiations, and one of them was the what the Golf Advisory Committee is going to look like on the go forward. There was, if you hang on a second, I'll pull that back up here. Said that the suggestion was that the Golf Advisory Committee be reconfigured to include men's and women's league representatives from each of the courses, and 3 at-large users. This committee would meet regularly with Kemper to provide input on a couple of questions about who's going to make the selection for those at-large appointments, and who's going to make the selection for those men's and women's club representatives.
I'll go first.
I see some grinning going on around out there.
So my thought on this is that the park board is probably going to select the at-large, and then actually reaching out to each one of those user groups, ask them who they would like to see on the committee. So it's not going to necessarily be anybody from the city making that appointment, but asking those user groups to appoint somebody to represent them.
So is there any formal like list of those clubs? I mean, you know, there's the Sims Men's Club, but I don't think they're, you know, they play all 4 courses. Would they be recognized as one of those entities that would be asked to appoint a member, or how exactly does Troy, or do you envision that taking place?
So I don't think we've gone down that road too far yet. So I think what we want to do is get with this particular group, working with the park board, and identify those groups. And you know, there might be some groups that are using all courses, and we definitely think they would be very much involved, and we really want them to make sure that they are represented, as opposed to, and again, I don't know, I don't spend time looking at all the different user groups, but maybe there's one user group that only plays once a quarter. They might not have that same type of representation. But this is where the Golf Advisory Committee would be really helpful, as well as the golf pros. They know who's coming to their courses. And so I think we'd want to get some input from the golf pros as well, from each one of these user groups. Who should be represented and how could they be represented in a positive way?
So all those recommendations or those appointments are going to come by way of the park board. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Here's the way I envision it, is that the Golf Advisory Committee, stakeholders, the golf pros would make their suggestions, and we would take it to the park board, having a good discussion, robust discussion, and make sure that we totally understand who, what, and why.
But it wouldn't be Kemper that's making the appointments, I guess is where
I don't think that would be prudent.
Okay.
But you know, especially since they're not there at the courses every day, I think our golf pros that are going to be there can have some really good input along with each one of the user groups. But you guys know who's using our golf courses more than I do, obviously, or more than what Kemper does right now. Kemper will eventually have a stronger feel of what's going on, but the way the plan looks like, and the way I envision this, is that our golf pros are still going to be part of these courses.
Okay, thanks, Troy.
Okay.
Any other questions on the golf management service update? See none. Let's go to the pros update, and we'll start with our super, Mr. Reese.
That's working better. How's everyone doing? Yeah, got a lot getting ready to go on at McDonald. We've got right now bids are out to for the lake and bridge work It's going to be basically repairing all the dams to where they will hold water like they should, which will be beneficial for irrigation. The bridge on number 17 will be replaced, and the bridge on number 12 will be repaired. So I believe it's the 14th or 15th is when the bids are finalized on that, and it will, I assume, have to go. I don't know if that has to go before City Council, Troy, because the funding has already been approved, so it's just selecting the contractor.
That is correct. Yeah,
Okay.
as soon as the contractor selected, the work should begin.
Okay, good. So that, and been doing some working on updating irrigation pump system some more. So hopefully get that moving along real quick before the season gets in. So that's about it. Like Mr. Houtman said earlier, we're all superintendents are working on a list of prioritizing equipment to purchase and replace old equipment. So we're hopefully that'll get moving soon. Also, there's, like anything else, there's a supplier issue with some of the stuff, and will be, but at least we'll know where we'll be heading.
Mr. Reese, can you talk a little bit about the tree removal?
Yeah, the contracted tree company they've been at McDonald for about a week and a half, and this company's out of Edmond, Oklahoma. They went home Tuesday early to beat the storm coming in, and so we just have to get with them next week and let them know when it'll be okay for them to come back up. Yeah, McDonald, we're removing. Well, we were going to remove 98. One of them removed itself in a windstorm here a while back, so I guess we've got 97 more. But most of them are dead pine trees, a lot of old dead elm trees also. But it'll some areas it will help open up, give areas more sunlight, so it'll help the Bermuda grow better. And so hopefully that should be done in another couple of weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, before we really get into good golfing weather, and so it's not disrupting play.
Cool. Richard, did you have a question?
Yes, Ron, earlier this year, we, used a dog to scare away the geese, and it seemed to be working pretty well. Where are we on that project now?
Well, I don't know if I refer to it as a project. It's just part of everyday maintenance. It kind of depends on the weather. I saw some geese land today. There's maybe only about 20 on the course altogether, so that's pretty good considering snow on the ground. And there's 2 or 3 years ago, we'd probably have 400 or 500. So I started to head out there, and I was afraid of getting stuck, so I backed off. So, but no, it's there's some mornings there's no geese. We can get them chased off during the day. Some mornings when we come in, there's no geese that had came back the night before. Some there are, but we can chase them off. Yeah, there's still some goose droppings. It's a minute amount compared to what it was 2 or 3 years ago, and it makes it to where we can get out and get the greens and tees and fairways cleaned where we need to. So I think if you look at the rounds reports, this winter compared to last winter, especially 2 to 3 years ago, you can see people are playing at McDonald in the wintertime when that didn't happen. So it's not perfect, but it's been successful.
Anybody else for Mr. Reese? If not, we can go to Steve. Can we pull up the comments?
At Tex Consolver, we just got done with our roof getting replaced. They finally finished things up on Monday, so we are completely done with that project, which is good. Took a little longer than they thought, but we did get through that. Been working with my vendors and suppliers on merchandise for the year, trying to figure out how much the supply chain demand is going to affect what we're able to get in and order. So other than that, leagues and tournaments have all been booked for the year, working with the high school teams on getting some merchandise ordered for them and securing their dates for their tournaments. That's about it at Tex.
Any questions for Steve?
Hey, Steve, did you happen to tell me about, like, some of your orders were all the way back till September before they would arrive?
Yes.
Is that
So
still
we
the
had
case?
some, it depends on the company. Some companies have caught up. I know even dealing this week, speaking with our Titleist rep, they're on allocation of golf balls. And so it's hard to, if you don't have them pre-booked, it's hard to get those, period. If you go to their website right now, I don't have the ability to get on their eBiz website and just order any product for my shop. So stuff we ran into last year, you know, not knowing, we didn't place a bunch of pre-books, or I didn't, based on the chance that we might be go private. So yeah, some of those supply chains that really caught us last year, and some of the companies are still dealing with it this year.
Thanks, Steve.
Okay, nothing else for Steve. We can move to Colin. Thanks, Steve.
Well, at SIM, we got our new furnace, which was really needed for this week. So glad to see that we got that just in time, and also booking leagues and tournaments. And we've removed a lot of trees as well. So that's pretty much it right now, and just waiting for the weather to get better.
Questions? Scott? Thanks, Colin.
Kind of the calm before the storm at Auburn. The tree removal guys were here about 3 weeks ago prior to moving to Sim. They've got about 12 to 18 trees removed. Ron's in the process of working on the pump house, only to find more problems once they got the pumps pulled. As far as the clubhouse, just doing a little deep cleaning when we have some time, which the next 4 or 5 days looks like we're going to have that time. And just like Steve, just prepping the golf shop for merchandise for the upcoming season, which is getting here pretty quick. You know, tournament prizes and tournament gifts and tee gifts for various tournaments from April all the way through June and July. So with the supply chain issues that we're having, it's, you know, trying to find a vendor that we can find a price point for the items that they're looking for. So just refreshing to get a couple days off, or not off, but relaxation after 164 rounds on Monday.
Questions for Scott? Thank you, guys. I don't have too much to update y'all on, other than just hoping for some warmer weather coming up. Some more golfing weather, but might be a little too much to ask here in early February. But yeah, if there's nothing else, guys, we can adjourn. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Eddie.
Thank you.
Thank you all. See you in a while.
Have a funny text. Yeah, perfect. I want that one.